Welcome to another episode of Manhood Academy Podcasting. Thank you, visitors, for joining us in the visitor section. We're right in the middle of a classroom, and I saw a post in the visitors forum. So instead of typing out a long response, it'll probably take about, I don't know how long it's going to take to answer all these questions, but he's got about 20 questions here. So instead of typing a long response, I thought we'd just record a podcast for the first half and just post all the answers here. So let's jump right into it. We might have students chiming in. They're free to chime in, or they might not chime in. It's up to them. But we have about 6 or 7 students in class right now. And we're going to pop right over to the question. Okay, I finished. This is new. Questions from New One, titled A Lot of Questions. His post is titled A Lot of Questions. Yes. I finished yesterday reading the whole ebook, Principles of Social Competence. And during reading, I noted some questions I'd like an answer for and some views to share with you. Number 1, passive-aggressive behavior. What is it? I looked it up, but I can't imagine it. Maybe someone could give me some examples so I can comprehend this. I am sure that I saw this behavior in my life, but I think it's just a semantic question here. I still don't know what passive-aggressive behavior means. Anybody know what passive-aggressive behavior is?
I have an example for it.
Oh, give me a good example. Go ahead.
I don't know if it was good, but one time I was designing this cover for somebody, like in Photoshop and shit for some sort of a PDF document.
Okay.
And I guess he said he liked the cover, but he had an issue with the text. And instead of saying, it'd be awesome if you changed the text, he said, the text is, it might be, he just dodged it. He walked around the questions like, I think the text is a little small and I don't know about it, but, I guess it's okay for right now, but it would be nice if it was different, but it's okay as it is.
Okay, that's more passive behavior. What's passive aggressive? You have the right idea. He definitely has an expectation there that he's not stating directly, so that makes it passive. But what's the aggressive part?
I don't know.
Okay, the example we use in the ebook, and there's a section posted there on the 3 stages of bringing a bitch into submission. And the second stage is the passive-aggressive stage. So the first stage is the confrontation stage, where you have, this doesn't even necessarily have to do with a girl. This could be a guy. But usually this happens with a girl. You're talking to a girl, and she initially is very confrontational. She's very aggressive. She'll fight you in the argument. She'll demean you, ridicule you. She'll throw every trick at you in the book. So she's very aggressive towards you, has no qualms about her behavior. If you keep punishing that behavior, she will move into what is called stage 2, or the passive-aggressive stage, the victim stage, the why are you being mean to me stage. This is kind of like a shame-based or a guilt-based stage where she's passive in that she's not actively attacking you, like saying you're an asshole, but instead she's becoming passive and asking. It seems like they're innocuous questions, but they're designed to make you bend to her expectations. So if she can't aggressively fight you and forcefully get you to change your expectations by saying you're an idiot, that's not the way it is, it's this way, then she'll turn to passive aggressive behavior, which means she'll become passive in that she's becoming the victim. Why are you being mean to me? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you so rude? Why are you so, why are you so volatile? Why are you acting so dangerous? Why are you so unstable? Why can't you just be a nice person? So this seems passive. It seems like she's sort of meeting your expectation, but she's actually being aggressive because she's still blaming you. She's still putting the focus on your behavior and accusing you of being the dysfunctional one. It's an aggressive behavior, in that she is still clinging to her expectation. She hasn't changed her behavior or decided to adopt your expectation. She's still fighting against you. So there's no submission yet in the passive aggressive stage. Let's go to question. Yeah.
I have a quick question. So it's saying it's like, say, stop being such a dick. Is that being passive aggressive?
Let's see. Stopping such a dick. No, because it's almost like a lighter. It's like a lighter version of why are you being mean to me? But the thing that makes passive aggressive different from aggressive is that aggressive is how to describe this? Aggressive is confrontational. Why are you being such a dick is a pretty confrontational statement. Why are you being mean to me? Typically, when girls are passive aggressive, they try to they try to act like you're hurting them, like you're the aggressive one. If you were to say, "Why are you being such a dick to me?" in like a very sweet or almost like a tender tone, it could be considered passive aggressive. But generally, when I hear somebody saying, "Why are you being such a dick?" it's almost like an accusatory or a hostile tone. So it's very confrontational. But it can be said in a passive aggressive way, just like, "Why are you being mean?" It's tough to say that in a confrontational way just because of the way it's worded. But usually, when you say, "Why are you being mean?" how would you think you would say that if you were saying, "Why are you being mean to me?" Somebody who's being mean to you.
It's like, well, why are you being so mean to me? I would be more stern with my voice as opposed to being softer or like, oh, like, hey, stop being so
Okay,
mean.
but let me ask you a question.
It's not like whining.
Would you say, why are you mean to me, to your male friends or your female friends?
I would say to the male friends.
You would say it to male friends. Okay. This is the hallmark of the emasculated generation. Why are you being mean to me? Guys today, you're not alone in this, but guys today think of relationships in terms of nice and mean. They don't think in terms of functional and dysfunctional. Like, if you're punching somebody in the face, that is dysfunctional. It's not conducive to forming a good relationship because it's causing them bodily harm. In girl terms, it would be considered mean because it causes an emotional feeling. They're thinking about it in emotional terms. So nice to them, seems like it's a sense. It's a sensation. Nice can be defined in so many ways. For instance, if I'm not giving you chocolate cake and you're a fatty, I'm being nice to you because I'm thinking about your health. But if we look at it in emotional terms, it seems like I'm not giving you what you want, so I'm being mean. So when girls speak about nice and mean, they're not speaking about what's best for them or what's functional. They're speaking about how you make them feel. So you may be doing something that's totally good for them, but it makes them feel bad. Just like if they get caught with their hand in the cookie jar, they caught stealing something from your wallet and you smack their hand, it makes them feel bad. She may be doing something, totally unethical, like stealing $1 from you, but she may, again, become passive-aggressive and say, why are you being mean to me? Why are you being mean to me? So this makes it a matter of feelings. So there's no standard for feelings. That's why girls rely on their feelings, because they don't have to be accountable to any standard. It's very difficult to apply ethical standard to somebody because it has to be applied uniformly to everybody. It can't just be, you can't say, well, only black people can steal, or only short people can steal, or only, stealing only, I only consider it stealing if it's a Tuesday, or I only consider it stealing if I don't know you. There's so many ways to create a standard that is hypocritical, that is unethical, that will cause problems in a relationship. But it's much easier to say, why are you being mean to me? Because that covers all it matters is how you feel. There's no standard you're accountable to. So when girls are saying, why are you being, or you're so nice, or you're being mean to me, it's a very simple way to be unaccountable to be unaccountable of your actions, to be absolved of any kind of accountability for your worldviews, for how you enforce your expectations. So one person can be acting the same way as another person, and a girl could view them two different ways based on how she feels. So when we talk about passive aggressive, so let's relate this to passive aggressive. Passive aggressive is the sense that the girl is being hurt by you. When she's an aggressive, or even when a guy is being aggressive towards you, they're not considering you strong enough or significant enough to hurt them. They consider themselves to be they consider their expectations to be the most important expectations, and they consider themselves to be the dominant person in the conversation, so that you should be deferring to their expectations. You should be deferring to them. So if you have a conflict of expectations, you want to go left, they want to go right, they feel that you should always defer to them and go their direction. If they can't get their way aggressively, again, they become passive-aggressive, which means instead of trying to force you to go their way, or to insult you into going their way, or to disagree with you, or to confront you, they're going to start focusing on how you're making them feel. They're going to try and guilt you or shame you into changing your expectation. Why are you being mean to me? Why are you being mean to me? It's complaining, it's whining. It's not going to be aggressive like, why are you such a dick? Again, it's a matter of tone in this case, but the point is the same. In the first instance, if I was going to ask you, why are you being a dick? Or a girl would say, why are you being a dick? That's aggressive. That's very aggressive. That's almost like saying, stop being a dick. So it's very confrontational. It's your expectation versus my expectation. Your expectation's dead wrong. But if you don't give up your expectation, the next best thing I can do as a girl is try to guilt you. Instead of stop being a dick, it's, why are you being so mean to me? Now it seems like it's like she's very passive. It seems like she's trying to, to negotiate with you and meet your expectation, but really she's being aggressive. It's just now she's trying to use guilt and shame. Why are you being such a terrible person? Why are you so mean to me all the time? So still aggressive, still caring for her expectation. In this stage, you still want to punish. You still want to say, look, you're not respecting my authority. Don't do this. That's wrong. You still want to scold. You still want to say no. You still want to apply punishment at this stage until she finally submits. When she's submitting, that means she's no longer being aggressive. She's no longer trying to get her expectation met. She's not going to be trying to guilt you and going, why are you being so mean to me? Instead, she's going to be focusing on her behavior. Instead of focusing on your behavior, why are you being so mean to me? She's going to be focusing on her behavior, which is the goal of punishment. When you're punishing her, it's to get her to focus on her dysfunctional behavior. So she's going to be saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I was acting like a bitch, or I'm sorry I was being unfair to you, or I'm sorry I was acting that way. I'm sorry I was whining. I'm sorry I was complaining. So instead of you being mean, it's now she admits that she's whining, or she's complaining, or she's being a bitch, or she's acting childish, etc. So a aggressive person is always focused on your behavior. Passive-aggressive person is subtly but still focusing on your behavior. And then a submissive person is focusing on their behavior. How can they meet your expectation? Does that clear that up?
Yes.
Thumbs up. All right. Let's go to number 2. In this feminazi world, I have to abide to laws. I think he means bylaws. I have to abide by laws that are out of order. That doesn't make sense. I think he means to say that are created from order. Because I don't think he's trying to imply that the laws are out of order, like your toilet's out of order. Okay, so let me read this how I think he means it. In this feminazi world, I have to abide by laws that are created from order. So I'm guessing he means like an orderly society. Well, there's the first... The problem here is with the assumption.
Disorderly.
What's that?
I think he might mean into the ebook.
No, he's going to... Because you can see the end here. What he says, in this feminazi world, I have to abide by laws that are created from an orderly society, we'll say. I have to abide by feminazi laws that go contrary to my dispositional function as a male. So leading, exercising authority, initiating conversations, etc. In fact, exercising my male authority is an act of resistance. How do I deal with that contradiction? In fact, I must use a lot of cunning to exercise my male authority, otherwise every cunt will go to the police and tell them something about controlling, stalking, abusing, etc. So he's he has a wrong view here. He's saying that exercising his authority is a contradiction. He's saying how to deal with that contradiction. So in this feminazi world, I have to abide by laws that are out of order. Or maybe he does mean out of order. This is hard to read. I have to abide by feminazi laws that go contrary to my dispositional function as a male. In fact, exercising my male authority is an act of resistance. How to deal with that contradiction. Okay, I think I got it now. This is where good grammar comes in handy. I'm going to have to interpret this terrible grammar into English. I'm guessing that he's saying the contradiction is not the contradiction of he thinks the laws are orderly, but I think he thinks the contradiction is that feminist laws are designed to oppose his function as a male. So there's a contradiction in what the law says he should be doing and how he's behaving. Yes, that's true. So you want to know how to deal with that contradiction. Well, here's the thing. When you don't exercise your authority as a male, this leads to these types of contradictions. For instance, there's a lot of unfair divorce laws that are facing men today. So if you get married and you get divorced, you're facing an uphill battle, you're facing a feminist court, you're facing a feminist legal system that is going to penalize you based on your gender. I'm not going to go into the specifics because I know a lot of people have already done that on the internet, and we have even some posts on our forum if you want to look up marriage versus relationships. We definitely believe in healthy relationships, but not the legal institution of marriage, because this enforces the state's feminist laws and applies them over a relationship. So it's not the relationship we disagree with, it's the feminist laws which are working against men that we disagree with. So this involves the institution of marriage. So when we say we're against marriage, it's not that we're against men and women having a relationship together, but that the state interfering with that relationship. So when you don't exercise your authority as a male, this is where the laws come from. This is where these unethical, gender-biased laws come from that you're facing, where you are discriminated against just based on your gender. This is where they come from, when you fail to exercise your authority. How do you know this? Well, when you exercise your authority in a relationship and you take charge of the relationship, the first thing you're going to realize is that your experience in the relationship is totally different. Instead of the woman viewing you as an option, like she views the guy she's divorcing, who she cites, what's a common citation for a reason for divorce?
Irreconcilable differences.
Yes, you always hear this. It's a catch-all phrase, irreconcilable differences. What does that mean? It can mean anything. She got tired of you. She met somebody else. She wasn't feeling fulfilled. She found a new career. She wanted to have kids you didn't. It could be any number of issues, big or small. But people use this blanket statement all the time because it's really an irresponsible statement. Irreconcilable differences. It covers anything from you stubbed your toe to you're getting beat in the marriage. So most people that file divorces happen to be women, not men. This should tell you that the problem here is that you're an option. You're not a necessity. When you don't exercise your authority, you're not fulfilling your function as a male. And when you don't fulfill your function as a male, you can't meet anybody's needs. People need male authority in their lives, especially women. How do you know this? Just like this analogy we use sometimes where we talk about dogs and dog food. If you have a dog and you give it dog food, a bowl of kibble, little round shapes, those things aren't found in nature. They're manufactured. The dog likes kibble. He'll attack that kibble. But you can pull his face away from the kibble without too much protest. But if you were to get that dog a raw bone with meat on it, and you give that dog that bone, and then you try to take that bone away from that dog, he will growl, he will have a guttural, visceral sound, and he will announce his displeasure in a very vocal way that is very different than him trying to fight for that kibble. That tells you this dog is designed for this food. This food is meaning necessity, and when we're trying to take away his necessity, he's going to get violent with you. So in the same way, the male function meets women's needs in relationships. How do you know this? Because the love is so much deeper. When you could, as a male, one of your functions is leading. That means you have to set limits on all the bad directions, all the wrong directions. You have to tell her, no, this is not what you should be doing. This is what you should be doing. You should not be going this way. You should be going here. You should not be going to this place without me. I need to be there. Or you should get this thing. Don't get this thing. Right? You should be setting the rules and setting the limits in the relationship. This will cause her to have that visceral reaction, just like that dog fighting for that bone. She will consider you her bone. She will fight to have you around. She'll get jealous if you go out. She'll ask who you talk to, etc. There will be a visceral reaction. She'll worry about losing you. This is what happens when you fulfill your male function in a relationship. This is why it's so crucial to exercise your authority. So it seems kind of counterintuitive. It seems like, if I exercise my authority, I'm going to get arrested by the cops. No, just the opposite. The guys who get arrested in relationships, who have been in long-term relationships with women, are guys who are options in their relationships. Meaning, they're not viewed, their authority is not feared by the women in the relationship with them. If a woman fears your authority, you can guarantee that she has a basis to love you. So if she does not fear that authority, that means you're not meeting her need. That means you're an option. That means if there's a problem, she has no problems going to the police. She has no problems throwing away the relationship. Somebody have echo on.
Sorry, that was me.
It's Torero.
Turn it off, Toretto. Okay, so she has
hanging my headphones.
She has no problems throwing away that relationship because there is no emotional investment. Because you're not fulfilling your male function by exercising your authority, she has no emotional investment in that relationship. She has no deep emotional investment to you. There's no real attachment. So going to the cops is like calling the cops on, a store clerk. There's no emotional investment if a store clerk is harassing you. So if you're in a relationship with a woman who views you as an option, yes, you have every right to fear. This is why it's crucial for you to learn how to exercise your authority properly. Now, when we say exercise your authority, that means lead as well as meet her needs. You can't just tell a woman or even somebody a good friend you're in a relationship with to do this, without giving them some incentive to do that thing you're telling them to do. So, for instance, if you're telling a woman to obey you in a relationship, you should be fulfilling her needs. You should be meeting her physical needs. You should be protecting her. You should be watching out for her best interest. So there is a bargain struck. It's not just one way. Both people should be benefiting from this, from a relationship if it's a functional relationship. And a functional relationship definitely needs a leader. You can't have a functional relationship, a romantic relationship, built on, the feminist notion of homogenizing gender functions, which means negating the male function. Like the woman wants to play the same role as the man. What they call it in feminist terms is being equals. We're equal. Compromising. We're compromising the relationship. On paper, this sounds like a really good thing, right? We get together, we have different views, we just compromise on them. But what you'll find out is that functional relationships are, both people are on the same page. That's what makes them functional in the first place. They meet needs. Needs are universal. If you're meeting needs in the relationship, they will be the same needs that the couple next to you is getting met in their relationship if it's functional. So functional relationships will look uniform to a certain extent. The personalities in them will be different, but the way those needs are met and the needs that are being met are going to be the same. They're going to be uniform. That's how you know you're in a functional relationship. So I think that probably answers that one. Let's see here. Number 3. Do I have to correct past dysfunctional behavior of other people that concerns me and that led me, for example, to this webpage? Do I have to correct past dysfunctional behavior? That's a vague question. Do I have to do damage? Do I have to do damage due to this behavior undone? What?
Do you have to take revenge for shitty behavior in the past?
I was reading that as does he have to?
Do I have to undo the damage?
Yeah, I was looking at do I have to do damage control or undo the damage to this behavior that
I remember that time 3 years ago when you disrespected me?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I'm interpreting it. So we're going to have to interpret that way. Do I have to correct past dysfunctional behavior? Well, it depends on if you want to restart that relationship. A lot of times you burn bridges, which means you do something to offend another person and the relationship dies. But if you know how to meet another person's need, which means you know what necessity is, you know what your own needs are, then you can meet another person's needs. Even a person who you burned in a relationship. There's a part in section 3 called rewarding. And can somebody turn off the phone for their drug deal and tell them we're in the middle of class? Thank you. So, where was I?
Burning bridges.
Yes.
And repairing them.
So, even in a case of relationships where there have been bridges burned, where you've thrown gasoline on somebody and they're a Buddhist monk and you poured gasoline over their head and lit them on fire. Well, in that case, they're literally consumed, but we're talking metaphorically speaking. If you burned a bridge with somebody, you've called them an asshole, you've cheated them out of something, or you've done something wrong. Section 3, there's a little thing called rewards, and under that heading, there's something called apologizing. Acknowledging you're wrong in the relationship. This is a valuable tool to use when you're trying to restart a relationship, especially one where you burned a bridge. No relationship, let me think. I would say, I haven't come across a relationship, put it this way, I haven't come across a relationship that couldn't be salvaged with enough incentive, with enough positive incentive. So you may have to do a lot of work, but it's possible. If you're meeting somebody's needs, that's a basis for having a relationship. So yes, growing up, you may be very dysfunctional and not know how to meet another person's needs in a relationship, and you may alienate them and push them away and even burn that bridge. But if you finally learn how to meet their need, you become a valuable asset to anybody, even an enemy who formerly hates your guts. I know girls who hate my guts right now. But I know that if the circumstances are right, and there's a circumstance or there's a situation where I can meet their need, that relationship can quickly be turned around. Done it before, so I know it's definitely possible. So I'm not worried about so-and-so hating me. I mean, even it happens with friends or even with students in the academy. I've had students who stand up to me and, want to cause a problem in the academy. I've been quick to punish them, kick them out, do what's necessary to get their behavior back in line. And they've come back and we restarted the relationship and it's better. So it's not a case of what you've done, but what you can do to meet their needs. Relationships, remember, if they're functional, you're meeting somebody's needs. They're not just, a relationship isn't just you have the same color eyes as me, or you're the same height as me, or you play the same sports that I do, or you play checkers like me, or we like the same movies. That's not a relationship. That's an acquaintanceship. A relationship that's functional, and let me qualify that. There are many dysfunctional relationships, just like the ones I mentioned, but if there's only one functional relationship, that means that you're meeting the other person's needs. Think about all your relationships you're having right now with people, friends, family, wife, mother, brother, son, students, teachers, employers, whoever, colleagues, if those relationships you're involved in don't involve meeting your needs, they're not functional relationships. They are what's the word? Sensitive, not sensitive, prone to breaking, for lack of a better term. So, fragile. I can't think of the term. It's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, those relationships aren't stable. Put it that way. When needs aren't being met, relationships become very unstable. So even though you may hang out with a guy for years and think, oh, we're buddies. We love the same video game. We play I don't know. I was gonna say Mortal Kombat. Call of Duty. I switched it to Call of Duty. Made it more current. We play Call of Duty, bro. We hang out and play Call of Duty. We do that. So that relationship, if it's just based around a video game and all you do is hang out and do an activity together, that's an unstable relationship. So if something happens, that relationship can easily be broken apart and you're offended, never seeing that friend again. That's how fragile that relationship is if you're not meeting that person's needs. That's not to say you can't meet a need by playing a video game. Socializing and camaraderie, affection, all those type of things are part of the reason why you have relationships in the first place. But again, if it's just you're doing something for convenience or you're doing something to kill time, but you're not actually meeting that person's needs. Let's say you hang out, you like playing this game, and this other person likes playing this game too, and you can play the game together, but you never talk. You never socialize while you're playing, or you say very little, or you never talk about yourself. Most likely, you're not meeting that person's social needs, so that is an unstable relationship. Any questions?
I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you're trying to meet someone's needs functionally, does that apply to section 3 of the reward section? All of those are functional. Is that what qualifies for a functional relationship?
Functional relationship simply means you're meeting their needs. They're meeting your needs. You're meeting their needs. When needs are mutually met, you have a functional relationship. There will never be a functional relationship where only one person's needs are being met and the other person's needs aren't being met. That is dysfunctional. Eventually, you'll realize even your needs aren't being met. You just thought they were being met. A functional relationship that involves needs means that both parties' needs will be met. Think of any relationship that you really enjoyed for more than for an extended period of time, and you'll see that it was something mutual. It wasn't just you were having the best time ever and the other person was miserable or eh. If there was a really enjoyable, functional relationship, both persons' needs are going to be met. All right, next one. What is the difference between male and female submission? Male and female submission. Well, there's definitely a hierarchy for authority. Male and female submission. Well, the difference between males, there's you could have ranks in submission. You could have a colonel and a private. You could have a father and a son. You could have a teacher and a student, employer, employee. That type of submission is going to differ from female submission in that usually when you exercise authority over a female, she becomes romantically interested in you. Whereas when you exercise authority over another male, or you're an employer, they're an employee, you're a teacher, and they're a student, or you're a mentor of some kind, they're going to have a brotherly affection for you, for lack of a better term. So it's not going to be sexual in nature like between a guy and a girl. When a girl is in a position of submission because you're exercising authority over her, is much more prone to become romantic. Of course, this is not referring to brother-sister relationships or mother-daughter or not mother-daughter, mother-son relationships. But I'm just speaking in general terms. When you're out in the world talking to women and you're exercising authority, this is a very attractive thing. So when females are showing submission, they're indirectly letting you know you have a very attractive personality, which really means it's not necessarily your personality that's attractive, but the fact that you're exercising your authority to bring the relationship into order. Remember, all people are attracted to order. That's section 2 of the ebook, I believe, beginning of section 2. So I would say those are probably the noticeable differences. I don't think that's really an issue that is a big issue. So, question number 5: what is the connection between dysfunctional behavior and the borderline personality disorder? Dysfunctional behavior and borderline personality disorder. I have no idea what you mean between dysfunctional behavior. I would say borderline personality disorder is kind of a psychology term, a psychiatry term, and those are usually nonsense terms to me. It's just, to me, there's a lot of dysfunctional behavior that is misdiagnosed as a chemical imbalance or something that needs to be medicated, when really it's just a lack of order in their life. It's a lack of a person. It's a lack of having authority over their life.
I think you might be asking more because it mentions disorder in the name. You know how it's mentioned in the ebook also?
Oh, gotcha. Okay, borderline personality disorder. Well,
that's what I'm.
Yeah, I would say that's more of a pop psychology term, a borderline personality disorder. I mean, there's so many things that fall into that blanket that it's really not a proper usage of the term disorder. So I wouldn't classify those things as the same thing. They're speaking in different terms than we're using. When we're talking about order and disorder and dysfunction and function, we're talking about them in the most utilitarian sense possible, in a sense that's functional, that means something, not something that is a convenient use of a term. A lot of times when you hear terms in psychology or in the world, it's like just a slang. It's a euphemism. It's something you're familiar with or something you just kind of conjured up, but it has no real meaning outside of your, the pet definition you made out of it. So, terms like borderline personality disorder, don't bother with it. Female teachers, isn't this a contradiction because teaching requires authority? I would say in most cases, yes. There is a sense like, where there's a mother teaching a son how to do something. But again, the mother doesn't have her own authority. She's a delegate. She's a deputy. She has her husband's authority. So she's always acting under the blanket of her husband's authority. She's not exercising her own authority over you. She's been authorized by her husband to teach you, to discipline you, to correct you, to train you, etc. So if you have a mother and you're a son, she's exercising deputy authority over you. But I would say in general, females teaching, that is assuming a position of authority. And in most cases, that's a problem. That causes problems. Number one, because women aren't qualified to teach. Number two, women don't exercise authority in general as well as men. And this is for a very good reason. They have a female function. When they're exercising authority, they're neglecting their own function. They have a nurturing function. And when they're trying to be guys and lead relationships, they're abusing that authority because that's meant for guys to exercise. They have their own function to exercise. If your mom suddenly became your dad, and you had two dads, you would be missing a very important part of your childhood. So in general, yes, female teachers are almost along the lines of female politicians. They have good intentions, but very short-sighted. A lot of the problems, with education today, because women are in the classroom, they don't realize that you can't educate people until they fear your authority, which means in layman's terms, we'll say respect your authority, but it really means they fear your authority, which means they fear displeasing you. We used to, in class, we used to love when we had a chick for a sub, because we knew it very easy to take advantage of her. Very easy to fuck around in class. Chicks have very difficult time exercising authority in class. Saw a YouTube video. It was insanity. I thought we were bad in class, but this kid is he's screaming in class, telling the teacher, "Fuck off!" and just literally laughing and breaking up. And the teacher, you could tell she just totally doesn't want to deal with it. She just kind of says, "Hey, stop that," and then she realizes she has no control of the situation. So she just goes back to teaching, like she's going to get something done. It's just ridiculous.
Why are you being mean to me?
Why are you being mean to me? Why can't you behave in class? Exactly. Very passive. So females are not suited to these leadership positions. So teaching falls under that. Falls in that category. How do you view pop culture? I can't help myself to think that hip hop is quite manginaized. I think he means emasculated, and its stars are manginas. Yes, pop culture is very emasculated. I haven't watched TV for a long time. I used to watch it all the time, but I just got sick of seeing men portrayed as the bumbling oaf, like King of Queens, or
every comedy show ever.
Any comedy show ever you can think of. The guy is this emasculated,
everybody loves Raymond.
This dumb guy. Everybody loves Raymond. He's a dumb guy. He's an incompetent guy. He's incapable. He's bumbling. He's an oaf. He's a clown. And the woman is always smarter than him, ridiculing him, mocking him. And this is how women behave in relationships today, and how guys behave in relationships today. I mean, it's like like say, art is imitating life. It's not really that the shows are influencing them. In a sense, they are, but it's more that men have allowed these shows to be put on TV because of their behavior so emasculated. They don't put their foot down. So these shows are just the norm today because women are in charge of them. There's so many emasculated males that are just so quick to defer to women and say, yeah, whatever you say is fine, honey. That's my opinion. What is the connection between jealousy and authority? Switched over.
I think we answered that earlier.
Did we answer that? Yeah, I think we answered that in the question about, when you're exercising authority in a relationship, women will tend to become very jealous. They'll worry about you talking to other people, etc., because they're very emotionally invested in you. So if you want to say that is a major connection, there you go. Let's skip down. Well, we got a lot of questions. Let's try and plow through these real quick. You talk about fear. I think generating fear of punishment is functional, but generation of fear of torture is dysfunctional. How do you see it? That's already explained in the ebook. Torture is obviously very dysfunctional. You need to exercise. When you're punishing somebody, you're causing them to fear your authority. But punishment means that you dole out only what's merited to stop the dysfunctional behavior. So, for instance, if somebody is attacking you, you would stop their behavior by, maybe hitting them, taking them down to the ground. If you stab them 1,000 times and they die, that's considered dysfunctional because you're doing more than is necessary to stop the dysfunctional behavior. Same when you're when you're disciplining a child, you're not going to be cutting their hands off with a knife. That stops the behavior, but that also damages your relationship, causes physical harm, etc. So when your pain exceeds the point of stopping this dysfunctional behavior, it enters into the realm of torture. This is when your authority becomes very dysfunctional. So you want to be very careful that you only exercise what is necessary to stop the dysfunctional behavior. So, for instance, a child's misbehaving, you might spank them. Tell them, look, you're getting the spanking because you're not listening to what I'm saying. And if you spank them, it's painful, but it's not going to break their bones, or it shouldn't break their bones, and it shouldn't be, leaving these deep bruises. It should be just enough so that they're, they're crying and they're realizing, oh, if I defy my father's wishes, I'm going to get in trouble. This is bad news for me. I need to change my behavior. And that's really all it's spanking is. It's saying stop this behavior. Stop this dysfunctional behavior, I should say. Let's see what's next here. What if all the people would be socially competent? How would the world look like? Not like your grammar. Let's see. It would probably look like. Good question. What would it look like? Well, it would look like. Think of a relationship where you have a really good time. Now, if you're socially incompetent, that's hard to picture. So, you would have to have the experience. There's no way to tell you, other than just to describe what a functional relationship feels like. But there's really no way to convey the sense of it without actually experiencing it. So, maybe you had a relationship when you were younger that was really fun, really great, or you have a great relationship with one of your parents, or both your parents, or with a friend. That's what it feels like to be socially competent. Now, just to multiply that effect, like if you had a community of people that were all hanging out together. Maybe you had a bunch of friends, you had a baseball game, and you all cooperated and had a good time. You were playing second base, your friend was playing first base, your other friend was playing third base, you were throwing the ball to each other, getting all the people out, getting up to bat, playing together, having a good time, playing against a team who also had a good time, and afterwards you shook hands together. That would be the equivalent of everybody being socially competent, because everybody's working together and everybody's needs are being met. It's an enjoyable experience. You look forward to it. You look forward to playing the game again with your friends. That's what it's analogous to, that I can think of offhand. Fortunately, this book lacks something like the Ten Commandments. All right. Don't know what to say to that. The problem of beautiful women. Too many options for her. Emasculated men who naturally fear rejection and lack authority to guide her. The problem. Okay. Thank you. We've covered that in the ebook, I think. Where did you get these dialogues from? Pieces of theater? Are they based on reality or not? Some of the conversations were real. Others were just made up to just illustrate certain principles in the ebook. But they follow along the lines of real conversations I've had or witnessed. So they're not just totally imaginary, where they're hypotheticals that could never happen. They could definitely happen. So that's where either they were snipped from actual student conversations or real conversations, or based on a true story, so to speak. In the series Twilight about the submission of a girl to a vampire. I'm not that much into it, so maybe someone can explain to me the picture on page 137. I think it has to do with some guy. Anybody have the picture offhand real quick? Oh, wait, I have the ebook. I have the physical copy. This is why it's so amazing to have this physical copy. I can just flip to this page versus trying to flip through a PDF. 137 has a picture of, drumroll, Twilight. Oh, it's in relation to submission. Yes, I remember that section. Let's see here. The series Twilight about submission. Yeah, it has a lot of themes. I mean, Twilight follows a theme where this guy is basically leading this girl. It's like it's kind of analogous to, you know, when they do sexual surveys or sex surveys, Masters and Johnson, or I forget which institute did the major sex survey, and they found out that a lot of women have rape fantasies. And the reason why they have rape fantasies is not because they want to be abducted and tied up and slaughtered afterwards, but they're more fantasizing about the fact that a rape is where something is out of their control, where they're being led, where they're being told what to do. And I have this same experience with a girlfriend, you know, who's deeply into me and deeply in love, and she loves being, you know, grabbed strongly, told what to do, told how I like it, etc. This follows along the same lines of this theme where when you're exercising authority, it's very functional in that a woman is very turned on by it. She's very turned on by, you know, being led, being submissive to somebody in authority who is directing her behavior, who is putting her in an orderly state. So this is what it's analogous to. Of course, it's vampires and it's, you know, chick lit, but that's the only point you want to take away from that. Everyone who wants to see order working in extreme situations should see a match of Calico. Okay, something about YouTube. On page 267, you write, when you convey your reactions to your experiences, I won't repeat the paragraph. Do you have any examples on your mind for this? Conveying your reactions. Okay, this is the last part. It talks about, in the ebook, it talks about expression. This is when you're conveying your personal reactions to your experiences. So, for instance, if I'm walking down the street, I'm experiencing a lot of different things. I'm seeing the trees. I'm feeling the warmth of the sunlight on my face. I'm just imagining a day right now, or a day like today where it's pretty sunny. And it feels warm. It makes me happy. I love the sun. I love the sunlight on my skin. I feel like skipping around. I like watching the trees. They're so neon green around where I'm at. And it just gives me a happy, warm feeling. And I just love days like that. I love thinking about walking in nature or going on a hike or just, you know, having a time away from civilization, so to speak. Staying away from buildings, looking at trees, being in the grass. I want to hear the sound of the wind through the bushes. I don't like cars around when days are that warm and sunny. I like to just be away from machines and near plants, near people, near forces of nature, the beach, mountains, etc. So this is me giving my personal reaction to something that's affecting me, an experience I'm having. I'm talking to you personally about how the day is affecting me. Versus, I could also talk about it a different way. I could say, when the day is warm, people generally like warm days, and they like hanging out with each other. I could say, warm days bring up images of playing on the beach, playing baseball together, you know, hanging out with your family at a picnic. So I'm speaking about it very impersonally. I'm not giving you my personal degree of my experience. This is the difference between a socially competent person who is painting a picture for the other person to enjoy versus them giving another person static information, which could apply to anybody. It's like you could Google a sunny day and read that description. But your personal reaction conveys what it's like to be you, what it's like to live through your eyes. When you can convey this to a person, this is what is attractive. This is what is attractive in a social interaction, what it's like to be the other person. Not just what it's like in general to be a human being, but what it's like specifically to be you. This is what it means to convey your personal reaction versus just an experience. A lot of people, when they talk about things, they talk about static information. They talk about what they did, where they went, what they saw, versus how they thought and how they felt. How they thought and how they felt. So, if I was conveying a static reaction about a baseball game I went to, I would say, oh, we went to the stadium. The stadium was painted blue. There was 300 seats on the left-hand side. We had popcorn. We had hot dogs. We had a good time. The only personal part of that was saying we had a good time. Now, what is a good time? That is a very poor personal expression because I am not conveying the degree of my experience. What does good mean? It could mean a lot of things. I had a lollipop, or I had I had a 4-course dinner. We don't know until I specifically break down the degree of my experience. This is what it means to talk about the degree of your personal experience. So there is talking about your thoughts and your feelings, and then there's the degree of talking about your thoughts and feelings. There is, I had a good day versus, oh, I love this day. It reminded me of a summer symphony where I'm just lying on my back in the grass and the flowers are petting my face or something. Yeah, where you get a personalized experience of what good is to you versus just saying a generic description. I had a good day. Okay, where are we at? Everyone would want to see where we're working. Okay, da-da-da. Number 17. I must add some differences between European, especially continental European feminism and the American one. French and German feminism got its vehicle by Simon blah, 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 blah. Okay, good. Paul Elam, that asshole, accusing you of inciting rape. He says, Manhood Academy attracts rape supporters. Are delusional. So Paul Elam is a typical men's rights advocate or men's rights movement guy. They use the abbreviation MRM or MRA. He's one of their leaders. In this article, blah, 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 he underlines this idea of submission by saying, it is really funny. I already knew at 21 that feminists have been trying desperately to convince the world isn't true. Women, all of them, want to be sexually dominated. Okay, well, that's ironic. Considering that Paul Elam believes that we should all be equals. Like, he sees no... On one hand, he preaches that there is a problem, yes, with equality of outcome. When you say everybody should, women always say, we should make exactly the same amount of money a man should make. What they always forget is that they don't do the same amount of work. They don't work the same hours. They don't work in the same demanding, dangerous job. So they don't deserve to make the same amount. It's just like saying, oh, I work at Burger King and you've studied law and you're a law professor. I should make the same amount of money as you. Pay me the same as a law professor.
Sounds like communism.
It's like communism, yes. Regardless of what I do, pay me the same as this guy. That's what feminism is. It's communism. But on one hand, he says, yeah, equality of outcome is definitely a feminist motif. But on the other hand here, he's, I guess, if he's accurately quoting Paul, he's saying most of the women want to be sexually dominated. So then he's acknowledging that there are differences in the sexes. Paul Elam, he's such a fucking tard. You could read his review. We posted his review of us, and we dissected it enough so you can see this guy is fucking senseless when he's talking about our academy. And his attacks are unmerited, so. Last one. Here's a brutal but beautiful form of a manly sport. I watched that. I watched that YouTube video. It's just some guys throwing around like a soccer ball in some old country and tackling each other. I have no idea how this leads to order. I don't know what he's talking about. Maybe he's just talking about camaraderie. Guys have different views.
He mentioned that twice.
What's that? What's that? Did he mention that twice? I thought that's what you said.
He mentioned it twice. Then he already tells about a YouTube video.
Oh, I guess he must love that game. I think I've seen a special on it somewhere before. It's like supposed to be really brutal, where they're all tackling each other. You see guys like going off in stretchers when they get tackled. So it's like football without helmets. It's like rugby. So I don't know how that's supposed to convey order, but que sera, sera. All right, hope that answers your questions. Thank you for joining us.